Yes, you can start now. Yes.
Sorry, hello everyone. Good afternoon to all of you. I'm presenting my screen, and today I'm going to talk about the two characters, Susan Barton and Antoinette. So, mm, I'm presenting my screen. Share. Just a minute, it's loading. So it is our third. It's my third presentation and a topic concerned with the post-colonial studies. Is it visible? Okay. Okay, Susan Barton and Antoinette. So, this is the basic information about me, and Susan Barton is the character from the J.M. Coise's 4. So, before giving the evaluation or more information about the character of Susan Barton and Antoinette, I would like to give the brief introduction about the both the text and the author of the both the text. So, 4 is a 1986 novel by South African-born Nobel laureate J.M. Coetzee. The story woven around the existing plot of the Robinson Crusoe, who is written from the perspective of Susan Barton, a castaway who landed on the same island inhabited by the Crusoe and Friday as their adventure were already underway. Like Robinson Crusoe, it is a frame story unfolded as a Barton's narrative, while in England attempting to convince the writer Daniel Foe, to help transform her tale into the popular fiction. So, focusing on a primarily on these work primarily focusing on the theme like a language and power. Also, the most important thing is the colonialism. This text can talk about it. And Crusoe revisited the composition of Robinson Crusoe in 2003 in his novel Acceptance Speech. So as we know that Robinson Crusoe is very interesting story, and it is also talk about more post colonialism, and now it is the critical rewriting on this particular book, Robinson Crusoe. So Foy is very interesting to see, and especially character of Susan. In this work, there we can found the four narratives. First narrative was narrative according to Susan Barton, then Foy, then James Coisy, and then at the last unknown narrator. So this talk about a story of a Friday. In a Robinson Crusoe, we see that Friday was a Crusoe. Crusoe made a slave to Friday. And in this work, we can find that Susan Barton become the voice for Friday. So Susan Barton want to talk behalf of the Friday. What kind of thing he suffered because of this slavery and mastery things. And in this point, we can concern with the study of post colonialism, and especially we recognize that Friday has no tongue, and her penis was also cutted down. Now, let's jump toward our next text, White Sargasso Sea. So, White Sargasso Sea is written by Jean Reyes in 1966, and the novel served as the post-colonial and feminist prequel to Charlotte Bronte's novel Jane Eyre. So, as we know that Jane Eyre is a very well-known novel by Charlotte Bronte and is a prequel. Prequel means before story of the particular thing. So it described the background to Mr. Rochester's marriage from the point of view of his wife Antoinette Cashway, a Creole in hairless. And Antoinette Cashway is a Reese version of Bronte's devilish maid woman in attic. Antoinette's story is told from the time of her youth in Jamaica to her unhappy marriage to English gentleman Mr. Rochester, who renamed her Bertha. So it's very interesting to see that Antoinette entire the work, Antoinette try to find her identity. I choose these both character because Susan Barton is trying to become a voice for voice who has no voice. Friday was subaltern, so Susan want to be the voice for him, and Susan is the English woman. So, and in this case we are trying to see that Antoinette is trying to her own identity, that she is neither English woman nor Jamaican woman. So entire the book we can find that she was also suppressed by her own husband, society, even these Jamaican people, black people also taunt her as a white cockroach. So these kind of things happen with these characters. So these both characters are very contrast with each other. So White Sargasso explore the power of relationship between men and women and discuss the theme of race, Caribbean history, and assimilation. Now about Jean Reeves. Jean Reeves was born in 1890 and died in 1979. Was a British novelist who was born and grew up into the Caribbean island of Dominica. And from the age of 16, she was mainly resident in England, and where she was sent to her education. And she is the best known for her novel White Sargasso Sea, written as the prequel to Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre in 1978. And she was appointed as a commander of a Order of the British Empire for her writing. Now about James Coetzee. So John Maxwell Coetzee was born in Cape Town, South Africa on 9 February 1940, and the elder of two children. Coetzee entered the University of Cape Town in 1957, and in 1960 and 1961 graduated successively with the honors degree in English and mathematics. He won two-time Booker Prize in 1983, and in 1995 also Nobel Prize for Literature in 2003. And his first book, Dustland, was published in South Africa in 1974. Now let's jump toward our first character, Sussan Barton. So Sussan Barton is very important character, and we can say it is the narrator of this work. So Susan is the protagonist of the story. She is a British woman who went searching for her lost daughter. So at the beginning of the story, we found that Susan was searching her own daughter, and she reached one island. And throughout the novel, Susan is obsessed with the idea of telling her story and the power of words. And she can be seen throughout the novel attempting to control the narrative in a particular in the third section when she becomes the foe's lover, or as she seems in his muse, and in attempting to inspire him to write the story in the way of a visit. So Susan want to tell the story of Friday, but and she went to this Daniel Foe. But Daniel Foe want to write a story about the Susan. So here we can see that Susan not want to be a hero, her own perspective, but the Daniel Foe want to try to make her hero, and Susan want that Friday, she want to be the tongue, she want to be the voice for Friday. So these we can say that English woman wanted to speak on behalf of the black man who is a subaltern who was oppressed by someone. So it is very important characteristic about the Susan Barton. Susan Barton also very we can say that and there is a one point of sexuality is there in her. She is bold, but it is very interesting to see that she wanted to be the voice for the person who is subaltern. So Susan Barton, the woman on a Crusoe's island. So Katie Dubuque in her article says that throughout the novel, even long after Crusoe's death, she described the island as a Crusoe's island, and she finds herself as a mere female companion to the king and his manservant. Friday, Barton rationalized Crusoe's role of a king, and she sees him on the bluff with the sun behind him, all red and purple, staring out to sea. And I thought, and he is a truly king figure. He is the true king of this island. So Susan said that when she reached at Crusoe Island, she said that she perceived that Crusoe was the king of Ireland. So we also imagine what kind of a thing Susan think about this island. So, Susan Barton's role as a submissive, supportive character to Crusoe display a coexist formulation of a Susan as a man's woman. Susan Barton is a man's woman whose story is told throughout the world of a male author, both from the outside and the inside of the text. Susan is the sensual woman, and is the only female character in both Daniel Foe's novel as well as Poesy's novel. She is presented through her sexuality. Barton's time on a Crusoe's island is spent in a preoccupation with Crusoe's way of life, and life after her rescue is spent in a reflection of her relationship with Crusoe, Friday, and Foe. So also we can note it down that she is not only the character of inside and outside the text, but she is also very sensual. And yes, for the helping of Crusoe, she also use her thighs, tongue, and a body part to recover the Crusoe. So we can say that she is also want to be the savior of some person. So Susan Barton, as I told you earlier, that Susan Barton is the narrator of the story. So in one research article, Johnson Prince mentioned that it is possible that Susan Barton is an reliable narrator. So what is reliable narrator? A narrator that is not trustworthy and whose rendition of a event must be with a grain of salt. So we cannot trust we cannot we can say that we cannot blindly trust on her narration. So in Coetzee, for Susan Barton is a portray as an unreliable narrator. However, her a misreading of an event or science represent the coexist critique of both patriarchal and colonialism. Susan's analysis of Friday as having a no understanding of words or speech and seems unlikely as he has a certain listen to the language of both Crusoe and Susan. So now the another important thing is that Susan is very rational and gender bias for she has not the gender bias. So Susan, gender and rationality. So Margaret has said that Susan Barton, the female narrator and the main character in a four, very often act independently and rationally. She is not like a woman of that time are supposed to be, and she does not wanted to depend on one. So when Friday and Susan went, they come at the England. So Susan found that Friday, if Friday stay in England, again someone came and will make him a slave. So she is trying her best to come out, so for Friday to come out from this slavery. So we can say that she is very rational. She don't want to be a depend on men. And yes, she earned for her. She want she is whatever doing is on her. She don't want to depend on a man. She refuses to be like the female debut described in the second sex. According to the theory of a debut described, the women are irrational and inferior to men, which means that the white European male is the norm and woman is the one who is different in a negative means, and she is the other and subordinate. Now, another important character is the Antoinette. Antoinette is the driven from the character of Charlotte Bronte's poignant and powerful depiction of the degraded cruel outcast in her Gothic novel Jane Eyre. So Antoinette is a far cry from the conventional female heroine of a 19th and 20th century novels, who are often more rational and self-restrained. In Antoinette, by contrast, we see the potential danger of a wild imagination and acute sensibility. So Antoinette is the young version, or we can say prequel of the this particular character of Bertha. So as we know that in this work, Jane Eyre, Bertha is depicted as a man woman in the house of Rochester. So we in this with the help of this work we see the what was the background of the Bertha and what was the story of her. So Antoinette reflected Bertha. So Lida Polman says that Because of her past, Antoinette is already on the verge of losing herself when married to Edward, who begins to oppress her further in order to gain a control over her. And in the end, Antoinette is a thing that Edward need to possess to be a superior to as an Englishman. And if she too say it or whips, I will take her in my arms. My lunatic she is made, but mine. By forcing Antoinette to lose a connection to herself by pushing her to the borders of the existent to objection, and Edward think he can finally access and dominate her, and like he described the wind mastering the bamboos on the island, and the bamboos take a easier way, and they bend to the earth and lies there, and cracking, graining, and craving for the mercy. So, in the narration of Antoinette, we found that when she get married with Rochester, slowly and steadily, Rochester believed that she become a maid like her brother and her mother, but it was not true. And Antoinette, after marriage, after some time of the marriage, Antoinette has a illusion about so many things. Like she assuming her mother, um, she has some thoughts which is not existing. So she is not truly in sense of madness, but Rochester, because of Rochester, he was oppressed him by sexuality, by she want to control him, and in this way she become very mad. So when we are discussing that Victorian woman, angel in the house and mad woman in attic, so here we found that our imagination is that there are the angel of the house, but it is not true. Somewhere she was suppressed by her husband, by so many things, especially when Antoinette was out of control. Rochester tried to control by him force and by sexuality. So according to Fenn, Antoinette wanted to use the magic to complete her identity with England and whiteness. In fact, she wanted to earn the identity this way by making her husband desire her. However, the magic failed at creating the despair effect. So Antoinette was left with no other option than recognize her non-backless and non-whiteness, and she figured out that she has to accept her personality that doesn't belong to either world she knows. So Antoinette always try to fill up her personality. Like at the Caribbean island, she was also taunt by her black friends. I can say that not a friend, but so many slaves and so many black people taunt her a white cockroaches. She is not England, so constantly she is finding her identity. And after the marrying of a white man, so these become a very tough for her to find her identity. So here is a comparison between Susan Barton and Antoinette. So Susan is a white English woman, and she is a confidential lady. She want to become the voice for the Friday, full of a sensibility. She is a rational. She don't want to be on the man. She want to be a independent voice for the Friday. She is a rational and courageous lady, and because of courage, she is able to come out. She helped to Friday to come out from this subalternity and slavery and mastery things. And while talking to Antoinette, we can see that Antoinette is a Jamaican mad woman, and she was a mad character. Actually, she was not mad, but people make mad her. She was suppressed by her own husband. She has constantly conflict in her life. At the childhood, her mother married another man, and then this thing that her brother was born, and so many things had happened. So her childhood was also very dark side, and after marriage she also facing some kind of the problem. So see, there is always conflict in her life, and there are lots of challenging about her identities, her her own life. And at the end we can found that this Antoinette become a Bertha, and she burnt everything. So it's true that she become the maid. So this kind of comparison I have done, that Susan is very strong character, while Antoinette a very disaster kind of character. These are my references. Thank you.
Okay, so questions to Nidhi, Niyati, and Riddhi.
Yes, sir. Nidhi, how you are considering Bertha?
Please repeat your question.
How you are considering Bertha?
Please repeat your question.
How you are considering Bertha?
According to me, Bertha is very, we can say that very suppressed character. Like she is not actually a maid, but Rochester made her maid, and she also Rochester also kept her in a one room. So Bertha is very suppressed character, and I put myself at the place of Bertha, I found that I must take some step against Rochester. So Bertha is very, we can say that she don't want to speak about herself. So Bertha, somewhere, she herself is the reason for her madness.
Uh, okay, Nidhi. So you talk about these two different novel and their female character, Susan Barton and Antoinette. So my question to you that what you find fascinating in both characters?
So both characters. Fascinating thing is Susan Barton. As I already told you that Susan Barton is the English woman, and still she was become the voice for a person who is not a white. She wanted to be the voice for a Friday, and Friday who is a slave, who is a black people, who has a no tongue. So it is very important thing. And another important thing about the Antoinette is Antoinette has a chance to come out from her madness to prove herself, but she did not do this. She is doing what Rochester was assuming her and telling her. So it is two important things. Thank you.